Hi, I'm Anita, and today I thought it'd be really fun to play a game with all this deserted island on the mind with the event that's going on right now in Twisted Wonderland. Stitch's Tropical Turbulence Encore event that's going on right now in Twisted Wonderland. So here's the game I want to play. I want to play the Deserted Island game. So here's how I want to play it. If I had to be stranded on a deserted island and I could only take 3 people with me to get off that island, and they can only be from Twisted Wonderland, so who would I take? This just sounds really fun to me, so here we go. So, who would I take with me? What 3 characters from Twisted Wonderland would I take with me if I had to be stranded on a deserted island and had to get off? So, my first pick actually is Silver. So, why Silver? So, in the story, Silver talks a lot about what he undergoes with his training, that he undergoes for being a bodyguard and a soldier. So, I'm betting, especially because some of the things that he talks about sounds pretty brutal training. I'm betting he could handle it just fine. And so I'm betting for him that being stranded on a deserted island would probably be a cakewalk for him in a lot of ways. I'm suspecting he definitely would know how to survive something like that. I'm betting and feel like he would be very knowledgeable on how to survive in the wild wilderness. Also, too, while I was putting this together, I realized I forgot and then realized, so also, too, Silver is very good with animals. I'm not sure if they've gotten into why or how yet in the story, but he's very good with animals. Because maybe he could talk to the wild animals on the deserted island and talk them into helping us finding, like, food and shelter, and also maybe to help maybe that no wild animals attack us. At least that's what I hope. I hope he can do that. I'm not sure if he's ever run into that in the story. If you guys can think of a story like that, I think most of the time animals just pretty much listen and like Silver. So he could help us out that way, not just with like his survival skills. Too, also, one of the biggest things, Silver is more of a team player than most of the characters from Twisted Wonderland. Seems to be a way more mild character than a lot of the other characters from Twisted Wonderland. He wouldn't be like a Zulu and make you like sell your soul in order for him to want to help you out. Or the Leech brothers, for that matter. And he's not like Rugi, where he's going to try to haggle you to death. Silver seems to me to be more on the sweeter side than most of the characters in Twisted Wonderland. So I feel like he would be a great team player and want to help out and want to help get off the island and would share his food and stuff compared to the other characters. So that's why Silver would be my first pick. My second pick actually might kind of surprise you. So my second pick would actually be Jack. So Jack actually, I don't think he has the training compared to Silver, at least not that brutal of training. But Jack, I'm pretty sure, I was trying to find the exact story where he talks about, and I couldn't, but I'm pretty sure he talks about a lot that he and his family would go camping. He always seems to be doing some kind of sportsy thing or other. Oh, also, too, now I think about it, him being a beastman actually would come in pretty handy, too. And I could see his signature spell actually coming in handy, too, if we got in trouble with if we got in trouble with any, wild beasts on the deserted island, now that I think about it. So that actually could come in handy, but also his smelling skills and things like that, because the beastmen are famous for their animal instincts and that they can smell better, they can see better than the humans in Twisted Wonderland. So that would actually come in handy, too, now that I think about it with Jack. Also, too, Jack, I think like Silver, even though he doesn't necessarily have the training per se, I still think Jack would have the stamina to be able to survive in the harsh wilderness like Silver. Also, too, with Jack, I feel like, too, with Jack, he would blush and be so upset if I said this. But he's a way better team player than... Actually, he might be more mad or all of the above. Jack tends to be a better team player once he like warms up to you. I think too, if he knows logically it makes sense to work together than to not to work together. So I could see Jack being a much better like team player than the other characters. And Jack is very logical. But also too, once Jack warms up to you, he's a really good friend. Even though he'd be super upset if anyone caught on to that. So my next character I would choose, and I'm pretty sure this is going to shock everyone's feet off when I say this, but before I say the next character I would take with me if I was on a deserted island, just as a warning, if you don't want spoilers, you'll probably want to click off. But those of you who want to stay, so my next character I would take with me actually is Alazam. Yes, you heard me right, Alazam. And so Calamit, I'm not sure how to say his first name. That's why I call him Alazam, because I know how to say Alazam. I'm really not sure how to say his name still. I keep trying to figure it out. It's Calamin or Calamin, something like that. I'm going to stick with Alazam because I know how to say Alazam. Anyway, yes, I would take Alazam. So hear me out on this one. So why I would take Alazam is, so one, because of his signature spell. We wouldn't have to worry about water with his signature spell, which I'm pretty sure would be one of your first priorities on a deserted island. But if we have Alazam, we don't have to worry about water. He can just make it rain whenever we would need him to. Also, too, Alazam is one of the more sweeter characters. And he wants to be a good team player. Even if he's not good at it, he at least wants to be, where you would have to really fight the other characters who want to be a team player. Alazam would at least want to like share and help and try to help out, even if he's not very good at it, where the others, like Azulu, you would have to like sell your soul for him to help out. Also too, Alazam actually gets along really well with Jack and Silver. I think they're actually truly best friends. Even though he wishes he was best friends with Viper, I think he's actually truly best friends with Silver. I've actually kind of wondered why, other than he's just kind of been traumatized and distraught by the fact that he is not best friends with Viper like he thought. Why he doesn't just go, I have other friends who are actually loyal to me. I'll just be friends with them. And other than too, he always just seems to be beside himself if he's not everyone's best friend. He's actually friends with Silver. But then too, I'm pretty sure he and Jack get along okay. I think Jack never knows how to read him and never is quite sure what to do with all his energy. But I don't think they ever necessarily butt heads like other characters do in the story. Comment below if you actually remember a time where they have... Of course, does Alazam, like, ever necessarily butt heads with anyone other than Viper secretly? I think he, like, thinks he gets along with everybody. Whether he actually gets along with them or not. Even if they don't necessarily get along with them, he's oblivious that they don't actually get along with him because he just seems to get along with everybody. But that's also, too, because you have to think about that in Twisted Wonderland. The more I think about it, you actually have to make sure that they at least won't, like, kill each other while stranded on the deserted island so that you're not left there all alone. You have to make sure they'll get along enough to try and get off the deserted island. All right, though, here's my biggest reason, though, I would actually choose Alazam. So I'm actually going to steal Leona's idea. So if you get the card Leona's birthday jacket, you learn in the vignette, because they ask him who he would take if he could take one character on a deserted island. Who would he take? So Leona said that he would take Alazam because he wouldn't be on the island long with Alazam, because with Alazam's family and money and connections, you know, they would be like frantically trying to find him as soon as possible. So Leona's theory is that you'd only be on that deserted island for 3 days tops if you took Alazam with him on a deserted island. And that, Alazam wouldn't be so cruel as to leave Leona on the deserted island. He wouldn't just let his family save just him. So I'm going to steal that idea, other than that's a horrible thought. Who would think that someone would leave you on a deserted island after they were found? Of course, though, maybe some of the characters from Twisted Wonderland would do that to their comrades if they hated them bad enough. But no, Alazam's sweet and kind, and he would take us with him to get off the deserted island. So those are the 3 characters I would choose to take with me on a deserted island, and how I would get off the deserted island. All right, comment below. So if you played this game, what 3 characters from Twisted Wonderland you would take to get off a deserted island if you were stranded on a deserted island? What 3 characters would you pick? And it has to be from Twisted Wonderland. And it could be any of the characters. It could be side characters. It could be characters that only showed up like once in the story. Who would you pick? And also comment below why you would pick those characters. I think that would be super fun to read. Thanks so much for joining me today. And if you love this, you'll love the next one on screen. See you over there. But I think Jam? Jam?